Great, good morning. Welcome to our Hsing I Chuan program for this Wednesday morning, last class of October. We'll be moving into November's classes next week, so don't forget to join in if you'd like to keep on training through this set. We have started to look at the beginning movements of the set. We've been looking at the foundations of our returning fist. We start to look at our Qigong to set us up for our openings. And today we'll start to also try to look at what happens when we're going to turn around with that dragon turning technique as we start to add a little bit more. Not a long set, but lots of really good, interesting information in it as we dig in. So let's get ourselves started up. We'll settle the feet in the ground and just let the head rise and fall a couple of times. And looking from side to side. And ear to one shoulder and hang. And to the other. Again, to the first side. And the second. Let the head roll. Some gentle half circles. Keeping the jaw closed, I'll take the chin up and around. Around the other way. Shoulders are going to go forward and up. And then back and down. And again. And one more time. And we'll reverse. We'll come up the back, around and down. Into the arms. Some nice full circles. And the other way. And a quick stretch to one side. And the other. Again to the first side. And the second. Let those arms kind of go loose. Wrap around the body a bit. And then let's warm up the hips. Take them around one way. And around the other. One more time, the first way. And the second. Let's keep going with warming up the hips. We're going to circle inside to outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From the outside to the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get a little shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Shake out the legs. We'll warm up the knees. Around one way. And around the other. And a quick hamstring wake up as we stretch down towards the floor. And then we can roll. And come back up. Okay, let's start out like we have been doing with a bit of footwork and some of the element and animal fists as the foundations of our set. So first footwork we want to have. We want this ability to thrust from the back leg. So we're driving from the back leg, skimming with the front and catching up. And we don't want to keep choking up to a place where our feet get narrower. We don't want to start dragging that foot behind us and crossing over. We want to keep that similar position. We thrust, similar positions. We're pushing, pushing, pushing from the ground. Other leg is back for a while. We want that nice clean sense of the biomechanics of pressuring the floor, of pressing from center through the hip, through the knee, roll up onto the ball of the foot and kick off the ground without it raising your head. We want to shove you across the floor. So a good way to imagine this is you've got something heavy in front of you and you're trying to incrementally push it. So you're going to push it a little bit. You're going to push it with that back leg, push it with the back leg. It's super heavy. You got to really dig in and find a way of driving that energy forwards, not upwards. Push, push, push. We'll get you ready for Canadian winter coming up when you got to push your car out of the snow. So let's combine that with the arm work of wood fist. So our basic arm patterning for wood fist is we have a spiraling mid-level solar plexus punch. And then as we grind and kind of push forward, so this has some presence in the forearm as we kind of pull open in the insides and then we drive out. So we're winding up, pressing out, winding up. As we wind up, there's kind of this pressure down, and then we drive, 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 drive. Let's put that together with that shuffling footwork. So we're pounding through 1 and 2. Rear arm punches, boom, lead arm punches. Now on that lead arm, it's a little harder to kind of get the connection between the back leg and the lead arm. So when we're punching from the same side as the leg that's driving us, that makes sense. We're pushing off that back leg. When we're going to go to punching with the lead arm, we need to think a little bit more about rolling back, coiling the insides, but connecting to that back leg to drive that fist out. Good. Okay, just skimming through these as a warm-up. So our next footwork is our mud tile and push. So that same shuffle, but we're changing lead every time, and we're stealing a bit of space as we step out to the diagonal and mud tile and then push through the center line. Step a little on the diagonal, push through. Again, if you want to imagine that mass, you kind of push it and think of not letting it totally stop. We don't want to go stagnant and start again. We want to think about maintaining potential. I push from one leg, I catch that potential, I push out of the other. I push through as we're moving. So our fire fist is connected to this. We've got an arm work where we're circulating down, gathering into fists, wedging with the lead arm, and chin height punch with a vertical fist with the back arm. So we're circulating and driving, then we'll have to change sides, circulate, and drive off the other side. So we've got gather, punch, gather, punch, gather, punch. That's it. Let's go just a few more. 1, and explode out. The idea with fire is you kind of contain it. You pull it all in and then it explodes and drives. Gather it, drive it out. But again, we don't want to stagnate in that mud tile moment. It's about transferring the energy from one leg to the other so it's still continuous, pushing through, but not stagnating as you do that. Okay, the other main element that we see in this is the earth. Now, we don't see the earth footwork from the traditional element passes, but let's work on it anyway as part of our opening. So our footwork is stepping out to that nice forward bow. From there, we've got to get a little bit of weight back because our weight's on the front. If we just move it, we're going to feel like we're going to fall. So we create that touch of thrust in that back leg so we can shuffle up. Now, instead of shuffling to some toy with the 60% back weight, now we drive into that forward position. So we shift, catch, and drive to the forward. Catch, drive to the forward. A couple more. One, and push through, and push through. On top of that footwork, we have the crossing aspects of earth. Crossing fist. We're crossing that body. One. So we've got this outside kind of pounding hammer forearm technique. And then in the lower arm, we have this kind of shoveling, driving technique where crossing energy. We can think about hitting through the body side. These are shots to the spleen and the liver coming across boom, and into the body. But it's also this kind of sneaky rising uppercut from the inside. So you're snapping up the inside for that uppercut. We can also think about this as a forearm strike in terms of stepping behind and throwing or checking with the inside of that forearm. And we're kind of swinging one, closing down. We're scooping through two. And you can focus on fluidity here or aspects of those arms. And then we've got to tie it to our footwork. So let's say we've got 1 foot forward. The low hand is going to be of the lead leg, and the back hand is that spiraling out to shoulder height. So as we shuffle to the leg, we're going to close things down. As we step, we're going to drive out and cross over. So we come across and out, across and out. A couple more. So 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Good. Okay. I'm not going to spend too much time on these foundations. We've been building on them for the last few weeks. Let's go to a couple of the animals. So we've been focusing on 3 animal techniques that link into this fist form nicely. One is the phoenix. And the phoenix in its footwork is teaching us how to step in and drive knees. So we step in and we drive a knee. And then we shuffle in behind. So we're knee and push. Knee and push. When we're setting up the knee, and this one is like earth, where we're ending up in that forward position. So we've got to get a bit of thrust in the back leg because we're going to open up the front foot. Open up the front foot a bit and drive through with the knee. Open and knee. Open, knee, shuffle in, step open, and knee. Our arm work, we're talking about these crossed hands. These arcs are really important arcs in all sorts of martial arts. Catching and rising, you'll see in lots of traditional karate and stuff, you come up the center channel to make your blocks over the head. We've got this kind of doubled up. There's all these concepts about passing. I can pass one over to another. In this, we're working on some forearm and edge of hand work, where you're pushing either with both or you're driving with the arms to pressure. And then we also have in this one the talons, turning and pulling. And sometimes this is used for sometimes called cross face, cross palm, where you might reach across and turn somebody's face out of the fight. It's also a way to sneak in and grab collar chokes and things of that sort. Edges of hands, there's lots in here. And it's also teaching us the short shovel. Unlike the earth that was crossing over, this one is just a straight drive in. So we're driving these in. And it's also got a really good range of motion with squeezing the shoulder blades. So we learn how to work all those muscles in the core to create our punches. So let's put all that together before time disappears on us. So we're going to cross. We're going to drive out to the edges of the hands. We're then going to pull and tear and throw our knee. Then we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades and drive in with the double fists. So we're shifting. There's that little change of that front foot, a little stealing of space. We're always taking up space. We come under. We're driving into that space with the edges of the hands. We're tearing open and kneeing, and then we're driving through. So we're coming 1 and 2, driving in. Up, tear, pound. Up, tear, pound. Up, tear, pound. Let's just do one more pass. Gather, pull, punch. Gather, pull, open, punch. Gather, pull, punch. Okay, quickly into the last 2 of our animals. Dragon. The dragon has this difficult footwork where we're working on the inside stomping kick. And then as a great calisthenic, we're going to squat in. This is also teaching me how to rotate to create pushes and pulls. So we're going to come up, we're going to kick. So we've got to open that hip and turn out, which takes a lot of range of motion. So mobility, and then strength and up. Mobility in the hip, strength in the legs, mobility in the hip. Let's do just a couple more leg work. 1 and down, 2, down, 3 and settle, 4 and settle. Let's connect that up with our arm work. Circulating in the front, and in our internals, we're lifting and pounding. Boom. We'll see that a bit in Bear Eagle too. So we're going to grasp, kick, pull, and palm. Grasp, kick, pull, and palm. Lift, pound. Gather. See that circulating. Gather like the dragon. Kick, pound down. So we're teaching all those muscle groups to coordinate and work as a whole instead of just thinking about moving one hand. We want to gather the insides. Kick, drive, gather, kick, and drive down. Okay, don't want to spend too much time with our initial motions, so let's finish up with a bit of Bear Eagle. And Bear Eagle has a really distinct, and it goes into that forward position as well, but now we're pounding the hand down. Boom. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pop an uppercut. So the earth uppercut snuck inside. The Bear Eagle wraps from the outside and drives in. So we've got that uppercut. Now, as we step through, we're lifting up the insides. Open up your ribs. Lift up the ribs so you can condense and settle. Pound down. Pop up inside. Pound down. Pop up inside. Pound down. And drive up inside. One more pass today. 1 and up. 2 and up. 3, pound and up. Okay. We're still putting together foundations. I've just been working for the month on the set. So as those foundations start to feel more comfortable, we're going to add them and start to adapt them to the set. So triangle stepping or diagonal stepping. One of the things we've been working on is going out and in, back and in. Off center, on center, off center, back. Forward diagonal, so that wall hangs over my shoulder. I'm back in that space again. I move back off the angle. I come back on center line. 1, 2, 3, 4. And like we were talking about at the beginning of class, the maintaining of potential in the legs. I land in a way that creates the ability to thrust. If I land tight and I stop, there's no thrust capacity. I want to land in a way that I can push, land in a way I could push. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in the set, we don't go the other way, but let's try it now. So we'll go back, in, front, in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want to get comfortable with that shifting pattern as we're moving, because we're going to use it several times in the set. Okay, pack it in, pack it in. So much juicy stuff to work on. Let's talk about the opening posture of the set. So we were talking about how this connects to the traditional Qigong exercises. And one of the things it talks about is the concept of the microcosmic orbit, this idea of energy that's sort of moving around the body, typically up the spine and down into our center. And so this movement at the beginning of this set where we're opening up gives us a chance where you're kind of opening the body up, pulling energy, if you want to think of it as an energetic exercise, pulling potential up the spine, and then we're kind of pressing and condensing. And then what we do as we press down is we also coil the insides. We start to shift the insides a little bit. So we go lift and open. Now, as an exercise, you could coil that one way. You could lift and open. And as you condense, you settle around your center and coil and press. So it can open and settle. Now, in the opening of the set, sorry, I'm throwing lots at you. Nice thing about the archive, come back to it, slow it down for yourself if you need to. We start on a 45-degree angle. And as we brush and open and we settle, we kind of coil in and we press down into our right leg. And then we're going to get this rolling uppercut. We're going to get another setup for an uppercut by squeezing in. And our left leg at this point has freed up. So we're doing all this into the right side. And then as I step through, this is the classic opening of Hsing I. I'm going to step through, one slides on the other, metal, fist, and I'm settled out. So I've got palm pressing in at the bottom, elbow down, palm out. I've got 60% back weight. Back is straight, lower abdominal engaged, lower back opened. So that sets us up. And like we were saying last week, in a lot of traditional Kung Fu Hsing I clubs, you would spend time in your class just standing here as a standing Qigong, where you get used to the legs bearing the weight, making micro adjustments to your alignment in the spine, your engagement in the core, the hollowing of the chest, the spiraling of the palms, and the connectivity to the ground. And that's where our set will start. So if I'm facing away from you to start this, we're going to start at a 45-degree angle. We're going to lift up the hands. We're going to brush against the sides. We're going to draw up the spine. As we start to compress, we sink into our right leg and settle. We coil a little bit with the abdomen to the right, and then we coil that abdomen around to the left. That creates the right punch and sets up the left hand so we can step out to our opening. Let's try that a couple more times before we run out of time here today. So we've got 1, 2, coil, insides are coiling. I'm setting into the quad of the right leg. I'm sinking my energy into the ground, if you want to think of it that way. I stay rooted. Don't turn your hip. Turn your insides to create that uppercut. Set up with the right and the wind up with the left. I'm winding up the insides. I've loosened up that left leg. I set the left hand right in on the forearm. And then I'm going to drive forward and settle. One last time for today. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, settle, 5, we step out. So that's our opening. That's where things are starting. And we've had a look at a few of the opening movements of the set. So let's dive back into those again. So one of the things we were talking about is how we're going to link those diagonal stepping patterns to our phoenix arms. So as we shift back, instead of coming forward into the knee, we're shifting back, pressing and tearing. And then we're also shifting back, we're crossing, we're pressing, we're tearing, and we went to pounding the mortar. Then we added, hold that, draw it into the left side, and drive out with the fire fist. And then we went back on that pattern again, working our earth fist. So we step back and we go 1. We come back on that straight line and we go 1 and 2. And that's where we're going to leave it again today. Let's take it into the set with only a few minutes left, and let's do a half dozen repetitions of some of those opening movements that we've been focusing on. So I'm going to start my pass heading across this way. I'm on that 45-degree angle. I'm going to lift, brush, gather, press down, spiral, gather, and some toif. So our first movement is a straight up wood fist shuffle in. Boom, backhand punches. Now we add an earth fist with that tricky hook stance. So I'm crossing over the arms. I'm going to step my leg back so that my heel is up. My ball of the foot's in the ground. I've hooked the stance, and now my left hand is out in the front so that I come back again with the wood fist. And you'll see people actually just kind of practice this. Snap back, pound forward, snap back, pound forward, snap back, pound forward. We want explosiveness. We want to throw. We want to hook somebody's foot. We want to get that explosive power. So from there, let's go punch, earth, punch. Left leg is going to move first. We're going to step back on the diagonal as we cross the arms. As we shift our weight back, we tear. We step back, the arms are coming down. As we shift, we tear again, but we pound the mortar. Boom. Now, we're going to step out to the left. We're going to coil into that left side. I'm exaggerating here. Pull it all in, and then we come back onto the straight line punch. Now, right hand is going to go underneath. As we step back, we close with the left, we come around with the right. We close with the right. As we step with the right, we come through with the left, and then we come through with the right again. Good. Let's do that all over again. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's that opening. Punch, earth, roll back, wood fist punch. Step diagonal, phoenix arms, 1. Step diagonal, phoenix arms, 2. Pound the mortar. Carry that to the left. Drive out with the right foot, left punch. Step back and cover with the left, earth. Step back, cover with the right, earth. 1. Stay there, and 2. So we've got this nice exchanging arm work. Time has done what it normally does, goes too fast. Let's do one more pass of that. Come back to it in the archive if you want to get some more review with it over the week. I suggest trying things out during the week. So 1, 2, 3. That left foot is getting light, coiling in, setting in palm, earth punch, roll back to hook, wood fist to earth, and then back to wood again, mixing up my elements. Cross the arms, step 45 degrees back out, tearing, gathering, cross your wrists, step back, tear, pound the mortar, carry the potential, explode with fire, step back, cover with left, step back, cover with right, and then switch. Okay, hate to say it, I'm gonna have to leave it there for today, but we're getting a good set on that first part of the pass. The pass is not very long. It's only going to take us a few more lessons. We'll have probably the whole set put together by the end of November. So don't forget to come and join us in November. Thanks for training today. If you have any questions, stick around and I'll take those. Things you'd like to see more of or things you get a bit more detail of, we'll talk about that now, or text or email me. I'll bring it into the next lesson for you. Thanks for training today.